Hey everyone, Miacidae here, welcome back to Darkest Dungeon. So today we'll be doing another modded spotlight for the DragonSaintess. Now, I know she has been out for like a little over a month now, I believe, but she's been sitting on my back burner. I have really wanted to do some stuff on her because she has a lot of odd mechanics, a lot of cool mechanics. With that being said, I thought I would put like the interesting notes about her up front so everyone knows what we're getting into, because there's actually a lot. And then we'll get into the skills, the trinkets, all that stuff, because she's a pseudo transformation class. You can't actually transform her yourself, and then her trinkets highly change how she works as well, especially when she is in transformation mode, I believe. The DragonSaintess actually has two quests associated with her. One is a veteran quest, one is a champion quest. They each have unique loot inside the actual quests, one of which can actually be taken out of the quest to level up heroes quickly. And then both of them give unique trinkets as reward. Very nice trinkets, but know that they are universal trinkets, so they are not unique to the DragonSaintess. The other kind of unique part of this is even though you're installing the hero, if you're only installing this mod without the help of other mods, and I'll get into that in a bit, she does not appear in the stagecoach until you have completed her first quest, which is a veteran quest. So she is not available until you beat the Wormling Corruption, which is the first of the two quests, as I said, and will be the first of the two videos I'm covering in tomorrow's gameplay portion of the video with the DragonSaintess in it. That being said, if you want to have the DragonSaintess without doing the quest, there is a free recruitment event mod available on her Steam page, or you can probably just search the DragonSaintess recruitment mod on Steam. Either way, just install that mod and you can recruit the DragonSaintess without having to do the veteran quest. There also is a fire mod available for her, turning many of her attacks into fire attacks. I don't have it personally installed right now, but I'm assuming Fiery Intent, Vermilion Star Shower, and Torrential Breath would all turn into fire attacks. Some other stuff about her: due to back-end mechanics, only one DragonSaintess is allowed in the party at a time. She has a unique quirk, as you can see here, DragonSaintess. I'm not sure that this can be removed by any normal means, however, I believe like a save editor or something can remove this if you really wanted to. This quirk, as you can see, she cannot gain protection, she gets plus 100% health, and she gets plus 50% damage received. I believe she gets this quirk like the first time she uses a skill whatsoever. A few fun notes about this: this quirk makes her amazing for both damage reflect trinkets, which she has a few, or any ability, her own included, Breath of Life here for an example, that heals percents of health, not flat amounts but percents of health, because that will recover huge chunks of her HP. Her crit bonus is a restoration, and her canon name is B-Rain, as you can see spelled here. And finally, as I said earlier, she is a transformation character. However, her transformation is unique. She will only transform when she afflicts, which she has a unique affliction. So what will happen is she afflicts, and then on her next turn, she will force transform into the boss that you fought to be able to get her. Only it will continue to be on your side, with some caveats. All of her skills have additional effects. As you can see, all of her skills have something that say true form. So Fiery Intent will now debuff all other heroes other than her to have minus 10 accuracy. This is a level 5, so probably lesser effects from other skills. The other interesting thing about this is, while she is in her transformation form, or her true form rather, Vermilion Star Shower is usually a channeled attack that takes 3 actions to go off. In true form, it is no longer a channel, it is an immediate attack. So you have the ability to do a lot of damage very, very quickly, because as you can see, this is a plus 30% damage modifier that does attacks on all 4 enemies. So you dish out a lot of damage. However, you deal a lot of damage to all of your heroes. So be very careful about using her in her transformation form. Personal experience, be very careful. There are some caveats to that, but I will get into that in the skill section and in the trinket section. A few other notes I've found: when the event that gives you her champion quest pops, the quest for the champion quest may actually not be there. Just go do other quests. This is not a bug. What happens is there's quest limitations even with the mod I have that allows more quests on this page, and I'm not sure if there's a better one than the one I have right now. There probably is. There can only be so many quests on this page, essentially. So I had to go do 2 quests, and then essentially this quest popped. The one that went, go do the DragonSaintess's quest. You know, instead of the beguiling siren, this was the one for the DragonSaintess. And eventually it went there, and then I just went and did it. So if it's not available, it will be eventually. You just have to do other quests for it to pop. Even if the town event is saying it is now available, there's just some back-end spaghetti code for Darkest Dungeon working there. For me, once again, this took 2 weeks in-game, or like 2 dungeons. But with that being said, let's get into her skills. Now, when I'm going over these skills, the true form, remember, is when she afflicts. Otherwise, all of what I am saying is just when she uses it. Try to keep that in mind. The first part of every skill always happens, so if she is in her true form, the plus damage if torch above 50 will still happen. The plus 75% debuff chance if torch below 75 will still happen if she is in true form. However, the minus 10 accuracy will not happen if she is not in her true form, which is a afflict. So try to keep that in mind as we go through these skills. And once again, you only get the true form if you afflict, which is at 100 stress, you will afflict. Now, as for her skills, we're going to be starting with Fiery Intent. This can be used from ranks 3 and 4, and will hit ranks 2, 3, or 4. This has a 50% chance of marking the target, so it's not a guaranteed chance to mark, and that chance does not go up through leveling. It has a very low base chance of debuffing, minusing the accuracy of the target, with at level 5, mind you, 85% chance of debuffing their accuracy. As you can see, it is a very low debuff chance. Now you can choose if you want a damage buff or a debuff chance buff with 25% damage if your torch is above 50, or plus 75% debuff chance if your torch is below 50. And then, once again, if she is in her true form, she will debuff everyone else in the party for minus 10 accuracy. And the debuff chance does go up on that from the true form if your torch is below 50. We then have Predator's Pride. This can also be used in ranks 3 or 4. However, this one hits ranks 1, 2, and 3. This moves her forward by 2 and has a very high stun chance. This also, on hit versus anything that is bleeding or marked, or on a kill, will grant her a restoration, 4 for 3 rounds, and will buff herself for a plus speed buff. However, in her true form, will blight other heroes, a 2 for 3 blight, getting a higher blight chance the higher level it is. Next, we have Breath of Life. This can be used in ranks 2, 3, and 4. This also has a cooldown of 1 round, and the party gains effects based on their current HP. And this does include the DragonSaintess, mind you. If someone is below 30% HP, they heal for 25% of their own max HP. They also get a buff to damage for plus 50% damage. If their HP is below 5%, down to Death's Door, they heal to 50% of their max HP and get a crit buff for 20. However, the DragonSaintess will debuff herself for plus 15% damage received. And then if she is in her true form, she will give a Whore, stressing heroes out 3 for 3 rounds. So you get a little bit of a heal, but you could cause heart attacks with it if you are very, very unlucky or not careful at all. Next, we have Vermilion Star Shower. This kind of works like the Choir Hunter's A Call Beyond. However, it does have a little bit longer of a casting time being 3 actions. This one can be used in any row and hits every single enemy all at once, hitting ranks 1, 2, 3, and 4. This has a plus 30% damage modifier. It's a very high accuracy and will ignore riposte. The initial channel deals 0 damage, no damage whatsoever, and will buff herself so she has the Vermilion Star Shower channeling. After so many rounds, she will use the actual attack. The channeled attack cannot kill allies on death's door, however will still deal 15 damage to them. So do be careful to not do too much damage to yourselves because it can put you in sticky situations. However, if she's in true form, you deal 15 damage to yourself and, well, it hurts. And then you'll also debuff yourself for minus 30% damage on Vermilion Star Shower. The reason for this is it doesn't really say here, but if you are in your true form, you bypass the channeling. You just outright use Vermilion Star Shower. You hit everyone the minute you hit this attack. You don't channel, and you do damage to all of your allies as well. So you can just spam this attack and do a lot of damage. And then a lot of damage to your own allies, take it from me. So that 15 damage that she does to her allies very quickly ramps up in a prolonged fight, which there are situations, trust me. Next we have Flame Infusion. This can be used in ranks 2, 3, and 4. It cures bleed and blight, and the target that she uses this on, the next 2 attacks will deal damage to them. I believe the damage goes up the higher level that Flame Infusion is. At rank 5 this is 4 damage, so realistically they take 8 damage from this, but on the 3rd attack they will heal. In this case at level 5 it is 10 health, and on the 3rd attack they will also de-stress by 9. They also get buffed for plus 25% damage, 6 speed, and plus 30 dodge if their HP is below 15%. If you combo this with a few of her trinkets because of how they work, this is a really fun opening move. Just because of the plus damage and speed you can give someone, it really helps ramp people up. Next we have Dragon's Decree. You can only use this if you are below 90% health, and you can use it from any row. The entire party will remove their mortality debuffs. However, the DragonSaintess will be reduced to 25% of her max health. All heroes will remove 16 stress, and all enemies will get minus 75% healing received. The party will get plus 26 protection, and plus 15% death blow resistance. So, depending upon the boss you fight, I'm thinking of a few in particular, you can cut off essentially all their healing, get some protection so they don't hit you as hard, and make sure that once you go into spamming some of her attacks that might damage you, or other people damaging themselves, that they don't off themselves as easily, and you can get to the death blow cap, which I believe is like 80%. And then finally we have Torrential Breath. You can only use this from ranks 1 and 2. It hits ranks 1 and 2. This moves her back by 2. If you use this, you get a self-heal, 1 for 4 rounds, and you get plus 500% restoration amount if her HP is above 50%, and plus 40% damage if her HP is below 50%. So depending upon when you use this, she'll either get more healing or do more damage. However, when you use this, she will debuff herself for minus 30% damage. When you're in her true form, you do 5 damage to all other heroes. So as you can see, every true form thing is some form of negative, so do be careful about that. Finally, the DragonSaintess has a unique movement skill called Boundless Flame. This can be used from any row. Her movement skill doesn't actually allow her to move. Instead, you need to move with either Predator's Pride, moving hers from rank 3 or 4 into ranks 1 or 2, or using Torrential Breath to move from ranks 1 or 2 into ranks 3 or 4. Using Boundless Flame gives you an additional action once per round, and will give an effect based on her position in the party. In positions 1 or 2, this is a self-heal and gives a restoration 2 for 6 rounds. In position 3, this transfers her restoration from herself to her target. And then because it grants an additional action, you get to use whatever skill afterward that you would like. Next, we're going to talk about her camping skills. These are somewhat interesting, some of them are somewhat dangerous, but if used correctly, they will help you out greatly. So let's cover them. First, we have Callous Purification. This is a 2-time cost and affects the entire party. You'll get plus 10 speed and plus 15 accuracy for 3 battles, curing their bleed and curing their blight. However, all of them are sent to Death's Door, so use this very wisely. As you can see, I'm pretty sure she's burning them. Next, we have Ancient Melody. This is a 4-time cost. If religious, this is a minus 10 stress. If not religious, this is a minus 20 stress. And if not religious, you get minus 15% stress for 3 battles. Next, we have Derision, Judgment. This is a 4-time cost. Self only, minus 50% stress received for 3 battles. Then, all companions, plus 55 stress, plus 12% damage for 3 battles, plus 8 crit for 3 battles, plus 15 accuracy for 3 battles. However, if they are afflicted, they get minus 24% damage, minus 16 crit, and minus 25 accuracy. So you need to use this very wisely, because if anyone gets afflicted from that stress, you're not getting nearly as much of a bonus as the minus. Either you want to use this on people you know will virtue, or you use this knowing that no one is going to afflict because they are very low on stress, or knowing that someone gets a very large bonus out of the affliction and that their affliction is going to outweigh the minus damages or whatever minuses you're going to get out of that. I'm thinking someone like the Flagellant, the Thrall, something like that. And finally, we have Abate the Wormling. This is a 4-time cost and only affects herself. If afflicted, suffer 100% HP damage, so she will go down to Death's Door. However, if she's afflicted, minus 300 stress. So, she'll no longer be afflicted. She will no longer have any stress. So you will no longer have to worry about any of these true form things, so you will no longer be harming your party in actual battle. Once again, there are uses for it, like spamming Vermilion Star Shower. Do be careful about it. Also, I'm not sure if Skiddo meant to have that be a thing, so that may be fixed by the time this video goes live. We'll see how well this video ages with me saying all of this. We will see, because I'm not sure that was supposed to be a thing. I've not talked to Skiddo about that yet. I've talked to them about a lot of other bugs I've found, but I did not mention that. We will see. Alright, moving on to the trinket. So as you can see, they have a few different trinkets. 2 of each. I didn't see any common, but I could be wrong on that. And then 2 of the uncommons, 2 rares, 2 very rares, Crimson Court, and then they do have a Color of Madness. I just don't have it yet, so we will go to the wagon for that. So starting with her uncommons, we have Life Siphon. This is plus 20 crit, but minus 35% damage and minus 100% stress relief from crits. So managing her stress will be a little bit harder because of the crits. You might be a little more likely to see her true form, and with the crits you are likely to do more damage. Then we have the Horn of Plenty. So she gets plus 30% damage received. However, chance to gain provisions after a battle, and on friendly skill, she will self-restoration 1 for 3 rounds, so that is anytime she uses something like Breath of Life, Flame Infusion, or Dragon's Decree, she will heal herself for a little bit of a restoration. Now, I actually used Horn of Plenty in one of the dungeons in tomorrow's video, and that doesn't just mean food. I want to put that out right now. I was really hoping to heal with just a lot of food in the dungeon, and that was not what happened. You're also going to be finding things like torches, bandages, anti-venom, keys. You're going to be finding anything that essentially you can buy from the stagecoach. So this can be helpful if you're not finding all the supplies, or you're running some of the add-on dungeons that are very heavy on, like I'm thinking of like Pet Cemetery, that's usually down here, that sometimes you can't even buy enough of the supplies to get through some of the dungeons. Horn of Plenty could be really helpful for that. The case I wanted to use it for was just healing with the food, and that was definitely not what I got out of it. So just so everyone is aware, you could get any supply out of it. So don't hope that you're just going to get, like, say, bandages or anti-venom. It's going to be very, very random. Next, we have the Thorned Perennial. Like I said, she goes very well with plus damage reflect. And here you go, 50% damage reflection and plus 30% damage received, upping it to a full 80% damage received. And then on being hit, if she is at less than 30% health, she will stealth her cell. So on top of taking 80% damage extra, she will now reflect 50% of that damage, making them take a huge portion of what they hit back after they hit her a lot harder than they should have. So she does have the health to take that hit, and then she's going to hit it right back to them, which is kind of nice. Next, we have Miracle Wings, her other rare. After any action, buff herself for plus 10 speed if any ally is at death's door. On any friendly skill, stress -3. And on any friendly skill, self knockback by 1. So this way she has the ability to heal people faster that are at death's door before anything that is bad happens. Next we have Obstinate Pride. This is one of her very rares. She gets plus 100% damage if her health is below 50%. However, she does minus 50% damage if her health is above 50%. This is a lot of if-thens. On any friendly skill, she will buff others for plus 50% damage versus anything that is above 50% health. However, she will debuff others for minus 35% damage versus anything that is below 50% health. This goes really good on marking teams because they do a lot of damage up front as is. If a monster is killed, all heroes will minus 3 stress, and then if she kills a monster, all heroes will heal by 3. So it's kind of nice. There's a lot of if-thens, but it's also nice for managing stress and healing if she takes something out, especially considering she can do collateral damage with things like Vermilion Star Shower, or if she transforms, she does damage with Torrential Breath. And just all the other, like, Predator's Pride can blight heroes, so it helps with managing that if she transforms. Though next we have Bitter Malice. This is her other very rare. This does minus 30% healing received on the DragonSaintess. On being hit, she will buff herself for plus 15% damage, and she will have a chance at gaining additional action at 40% chance. She will debuff the attacker for plus 5% crits received, and all of this, mind you, is on being hit. So debuff all heroes for plus 10% stress received, and minus 20% blight resistance. With a very high base chance of happening, they will get plus 5 stress, and get blighted 2 for 3 rounds. And then, on attack hit, she will debuff the target for minus 15% debuff resistance, so that the debuff attacker goes off easier. So there's a lot of stuff happening on her being hit, all on her, the attacker, and all heroes. So a lot of stuff happening on all of those trinkets, whether it's like if-thens, on being hit, or just like any action, or just going into like her massive health pool. For her Crimson Court trinkets, we have the Youthful Memories. She gets plus 15 dodge if in position 3, plus 20 dodge if in position 4, and gets plus 25% stress relief done. And if she takes a monster out, she will heal all heroes by 3. Her other Crimson Court trinket is Inherited Tribute. Vermilion Star Shower will do plus 60% damage, and she will get plus 40% guard duration received. However, on being hit, interrupt Vermilion Star Shower channeling. Remember, Vermilion Star Shower is a 3-round channel, so after you hit this, she has to channel it for 3 turns. You can do other attacks in between, but if she gets hit, she stops channeling that. And then if you're like on a boss and you get AoE'd, you might have been waiting for that, and that's kind of bad. For the set though, Vermilion Star Shower's initial cast, when you start channeling it, will debuff the target for minus 25 protection and minus 15 accuracy at a 140% chance. It is only expected that the gracious treatment is reciprocated. And then finally, we have her Color of Madness trinket, which is interesting. And I'm going to say I don't know exactly how this one works with all of her mechanics, because once again, it isn't here, I don't have it, but Vermilion Star Shower has minus 40% damage in total, but its channeled attack changes to Cerulean Tidal Roar, and instead of damaging other heroes, will heal by 7. So when it says the channeled attack turns into that, it makes me think that when she is transformed into her true form, the true form will still deal damage to all heroes and not heal them. That's how I've taken that. I've not personally tested that one though. So take that one with a grain of salt. So that'll do it for the DragonSaintess. As you can see, she's actually a very fun class. I do highly suggest checking her out. If you do check her out though, and you do the veteran and the champion quests, Skiddo is still looking for feedback about how easy or how hard it was. I had a very easy time with the veteran quest. The champion quest was a little bit harder, as you'll see in tomorrow's videos. Have a good laugh at that. If you have any feedback for that, go ahead and leave that on the Steam page. Or if you just have any bug reports or feedback for the class in general, go ahead and leave that feedback. As of right now, they are still trying to patch things, fix things, and balance things. From the time I recorded the initial videos I did on them, or original footage, to me recording this video, I think they've patched both with what I've reported and what other people have reported, and just some other little things. I think I've seen 5 or 6 changes, so I'm not even sure my dungeon run with her is current. So I'll have to see just how much has changed and be told how much has changed since then. That's going to be interesting to see. As I said earlier, they have been out for about a month now, I believe, maybe a little bit later at this time, by the time I release this video and get it all edited. As you can see, there are multiple outfits, so go ahead and do that. And if you are having trouble with the boss, there is unique loot in the actual quest for her that is supposed to make the boss a lot easier. So be sure to use those and go down the side paths, not just beeline it for the boss. That is the advice I will give there. They make the boss up 10 times easier. That is the #1 problem I've seen people having, as they don't do the side paths. And if you do the side paths, you get an item that makes the boss a lot easier. So be sure to do that if you are having troubles. Otherwise, that has been it for the DragonSaintess. I had a lot of fun with her. I hope you all will too if you go and check her out. If you have any thoughts, anything like that, feel free to leave those for Skiddo on the Steam page. They will appreciate that greatly. And that'll be it for this time. So like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. And otherwise, as always, I wish you all well. I will see you next time. And please, have a good one.